everyone. We're going to be busting some major myths today. So stay ready with your what expressions. We've seen a lot of miraculous healing happening on these calls throughout the Tele Summit. And today you're going to see an equally powerful approach. Yeah, it's my honor to introduce you to a Nari Shakti awardee, Dr. Nandita Shah. She's the author of a program that has one of the most incredible success rates in the world to reverse diabetes. People from all over the world have been using her approach to be finally not only off medication, but also reverse lifestyle diseases like diabetes and hypertension. Are you ready to find out how she helps you to do this? Dr. Shah, such a pleasure to have you here, sharing this incredibly life-altering program you've developed. Welcome to the Mystic Lotus Awesome Women's Tele Summit.
Thank you, Ruchira, and thank you to all the people from Mystic Lotus. And I'm really excited to be here because it's a women's Tele Summit. So that's why I'm so excited. And also, I do want to share one thing that although I've been doing this work for 15 years, there are people all over the world doing it. And, it's like more and more people are getting better by this approach. And that's why it's just so much fun to do it. Yeah.
I can't wait to find out. I've heard so much about you, Dr. Shah, and it's only in the last couple of weeks that I've managed to speak with you. And I think I've learned so many things during our conversations in my research into what you do. Dr. Shah, India's now almost like a diabetes capital of the world, yeah? I believe we're only second to China by like an extremely narrow margin. If we look at our food habits, what in your opinion are the biggest contributors to diseases like diabetes and hypertension?
So, when I became a doctor, 5% of adult population had diabetes. Today it's 35%. So it's like, how did it grow so fast in such a short period of time? And not only that, younger and younger people are getting diabetes. And I'm treating people who are 20 or 25, people who shouldn't be worrying about disease at all. And I think it's because, when I was young, you would get fruits and vegetables and even grains that you could buy in a paper bag. But now, there's packaged food everywhere. And I think packaged food is one of the big causes. And the second big cause is refrigeration. Because there's so many things that we couldn't eat without having refrigerators. For example, and I know that many people think that meat and milk or animal proteins is something really good, but and many people think that we're omnivores,
Yes, yeah.
But honestly, we weren't like that before the advent of the refrigerator, right? Because milk can't be stored for long and dead bodies cannot be stored for long without refrigeration. And so, when I used to travel to teach, and when I was in Europe, people my age would tell me that when we were young, we'd have fish on Fridays and meat on Sundays, and that was it.
That's true. Even our family used to do that.
Right. And now it's just multiplied so that, these products are sold and had every single day. So things have changed. Packaged food, chemicals in food. There's also a lot of chemicals used in farming, and of course, eating animals and their products.
That's quite interesting that you said that, Doc. Because I mean, if I look back at my own family's food habits, when I was a kid, my grandmother would only have we'd have chicken or fish only once a week on a Sunday. That's it, and we're Bengalis.
Right.
The rest of the time was always meant for vegetables and fruits and things like that. But tell me, Doc, you mentioned that there are preservatives there that we have to be aware of. There's the animal products that we have got to be aware of. if I start rooting all these things out, what gets left, Doc?
Yeah. So I want to assure you that, we've been doing this for 15 years
Hmm.
and that there's so much variety that it's unbelievable. In fact, our food is so good. And you know why our food is so good? Because actually, right now, and I mentioned this before that, we believe we're omnivores, and when a lie gets repeated often enough, it takes in our mind the form of truth. But we have to remember that we should think, are we really omnivores? Because every animal eats according to their instincts, and so do we. And
Hmm.
if you were to go to a farm or an orchard and you see fruits and vegetables, what would you instinctively feel like doing?
Plucking and eating.
Correct. But if you see a chicken walk by, or a goat or a cow, does your mouth water?
No.
No. The reason you like chicken or fish, being a Bengali, the reason you like these things is because we have been conditioned to eat them over the years.
Hmm.
And, it's the smell, the taste, the looks, the comfortness of what we've been doing over a long period of time. And also, as you said, when you were young, it wasn't available all the time, which means that it was something special. So now it's something like, wow. But is it really? Because it's not our food, if you think about it, because we don't salivate. Now, who would salivate if they saw a chicken walk by? Maybe a dog or
Hmm.
a fox, because
Hmm.
a dog or a fox could pounce on the chicken, tear it apart, eat it whole.
Yeah.
Skin, bones, beak, claws, so much so that there are people who go to chicken shops in the night and pick up all the leftovers that humans can't eat and feed it to dogs. So, chicken is dog food, but we're eating it. And similarly, goats or cows may be lion food. So, we have to think, what are we doing wrong, right? And as you know, like I grew up as a vegetarian and you grew up as a non-vegetarian, vegetarians and non-vegetarians get the same diseases,
That's
and that's because meat and milk have the same properties: high protein, high fat, and no fiber. But
ah.
when we go out for dinner, non-vegetarians will order chicken or fish, and vegetarians will order
Paneer.
paneer.
That's true.
Then it's the same in our body. We all suffer the same diseases. And when I was young and growing up, paneer was a way to rescue spoiled milk. But today it's an item.
Yeah.
So you can just imagine that we are consuming way more than we used to do
Yeah,
before, right?
that's for sure. That the quantity of and the frequency of consumption of whether it's milk and we're also, I think, consuming it in hidden ways as well, Doc, isn't it? Like that
Absolutely.
so many products.
Absolutely. But you have to think about one more thing about milk, that every baby is totally attached to their mother's milk. But when you first give them cow's milk, does any baby appreciate? Like instinctively, the baby says, no, this is not my food, and even gets diarrhea. But then mothers add sugar and cocoa and run around the kid. And by the time we grow up, because our mothers ran around us, we grow up thinking this is the very best food. And I just want to tell you one more thing about all these things. I often tell my patients that if you want to know what to eat and what not to eat, it's really simple, because nobody spends money on advertising what's in our instincts.
That's true.
Correct? And so you don't see advertisements for fruits and vegetables, apples and oranges, or cucumbers and carrots, but you definitely see advertisements for things which are not in our instinct, like eggs and milk and so on, because, and packaged food, of course, right? Because we know that unless we are repeatedly brainwashed, we might just get back to our instinct. And that's why our food is so good, because it's instinctive, like the baby knows and doesn't like cow's milk. We actually don't like the foods we're eating but they're dressed to make us like them. If you go to a restaurant for
Mm.
chicken, then you will see on the menu, 10, 12 different kinds of chicken, and it all depends on the gravy.
Yeah.
So the taste is in the gravy, not in the particular food, you know.
That's true. So we're going to come back, Dr. Shah, and I'm going to ask you, what is it about meat or milk that is so detrimental to us, and what's the connection with diabetes? But I do want to ask you the question. You spent like a lifetime, yeah, in educating people, making people aware. What's the first thing you tell them?
Well, actually, I didn't spend a lifetime. I grew up as a doctor believing all the things that everyone else believes. But now I tell them that, look, when someone gets diabetes, they go to the doctor. They go to the same doctor that they know hasn't cured anyone so far,
That's true.
right?
That's so true.
So, how do we do this? And that's also just because of conditioning, because we do whatever everyone else does,
Yeah.
right?
That's true. That's true. So, what is the connection, Doc, between these, and especially in the context of women? How do we understand our food habits and how they are, which ones are detrimental to us and which ones are good for us?
Okay, so if you think about women's complaints, then mostly they're hormonal complaints, diabetes and hypothyroid and PCOD, and also breast cancer and infertility. Let me not forget infertility, because India was a country of over fertility. But now we have infertility clinics everywhere,
That's true.
and they are pretty well frequented. So, what has changed now is what we really have to think about, right?
Hmm.
And these are all hormonal problems, and I don't want to miss on hypertension, but weight gain is part of all this.
Hmm.
But these are all hormonal problems. And all our hormones are orchestrated by the pituitary gland. It's a gland at the back of our brain. And when one hormone goes out of balance, all the others go out of balance as well. And so, why do we have so many hormonal problems? I do want to also mention things like menstrual cramps, menstrual pains, menopausal problems, because we're not supposed to suffer during periods, and we're not supposed to suffer during menopause either. I
Hmm.
mean, we were supposed to lead healthy lives just like other animals in nature.
Yeah.
So where are all these problems coming from? And they have increased in the last few decades, because when I was in college, medical college,
Hmm.
every alternate person wasn't getting hypothyroid,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
I mean, it's become very common these days. That's because we are getting hormones in our body through milk and animal products, because milk is a secretion of a female mammal. It contains estrogens, progesterones, growth hormones, and so many other hormones.
Hmm.
And right now, when we eat animals, chickens are raised to go to slaughter at 6 weeks. They're raised to grow to full size in 6 weeks, 42 days. But actually, a chicken would grow to full size in 12 weeks. And so, all these manipulations are done by hormones. A hen has to lay 250 to 300 eggs a year to be productive, but a normal hen would not lay more than 25 to 30 eggs a year, because what will she do with more babies, right? And so the whole food system has changed to a massive, you know, feeding operation. And it's hard to imagine that today we face a huge problem of global warming. And did you know that the animals in our food chain are the major cause of global warming as well as disease, which actually go together, right? Did you know that 70 billion land animals are slaughtered for food every year?
My goodness.
70 billion, we're 7 plus billion, right? And that doesn't even include the fish, which is way more in number.
Mm.
So we have to think like our habits have changed so incredibly thanks to refrigeration. Right?
That's remarkable. So actually, I want to share with everyone. I'm a vegan myself. So I switched only. I think it's only been about 3 years now since I switched.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, I switched because of environmental reasons. Not so much initially, not so much because of the cruelty factor, etc., but more because I know exactly what you may mean, that the amount of resources spent, of course, in raising animals just to feed us
Yes.
is incredible. The amount of water, land, etc., that gets used, that's it's a whole different conversation. But I want to focus today on the connection between consuming animal products and milk and dairy, and the connection between that and diabetes and hypertension. Because I think
Right.
most common things that everyone thinks of when they think about diabetes is चीनी बहुत खाते थे या मीठा बहुत खाते थे इसलिए हो गया,
Correct.
or
Correct.
that it is genetic, and that's why it's happened.
And that's what's so funny, when people go to the doctor with diabetes, they're told not to have carbohydrates and not to have sugar.
Yeah.
But what if they go to the doctor with hypertension? Then the doctor tells them, don't eat fats and don't eat meat.
Mm.
Now, there's your question. Then what do we eat? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because many people have diabetes and hypertension together, and then what are they going to eat? Now, the good news here is that the cause of diabetes and hypertension is the same. And, I won't go into all the details, but actually, one of the major causes is fat. Fat blocks the arteries, causes high blood pressure. Fat blocks the insulin receptors and causes type 2 diabetes. It causes insulin resistance.
What does that mean, doc? What is insulin receptor?
Before we think about that, let's just talk about one thing that, when we go to the doctor with diabetes and doctor says cut down sugar and carbohydrates, we all do it, don't we?
Hmm.
Does anyone get better? We have to recognize that anyway nobody gets better by cutting sugars and carbohydrates, right? So um, now type 2 diabetics have insulin resistance. That means their pancreas is producing insulin,
Hmm.
but the insulin doesn't work.
Okay.
So they may have even more insulin than regular diabetics. I mean, type 1 diabetics. Type 1 diabetics means that the pancreas has stopped producing insulin. But most of the people are type 2. Their pancreas is producing insulin, but it just doesn't work because insulin is like a key. It opens the door to allow glucose into the cell where it's required for energy. If you don't have glucose in the cell, then you feel tired and exhausted and have too much urine and drink too much to dilute all that blood sugar.
Hmm.
Those are the symptoms of diabetes.
Okay. And how does this connect with the foods that are not right for us, doc? Like what happens?
So, thank you for that question. All the foods which are not right for us,
Hmm.
and eating the wrong foods is a little bit like taking a car that runs on petrol and putting in diesel, or taking a cow and feeding it meat, or taking a lion and feeding it grass. We're literally doing that, right? But think about it. Uh, you just asked me a question.
About the connection between
Yeah, yeah. So, all these animal products are full of fat. Fat is the major cause, right? Boiled chicken, fat on top, boiled milk, fat on top, boiled fish, fat on top. No matter what you eat from an animal is full of fat, and fat is the major cause of disease, whether it's hypertension, diabetes, or obesity,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? Think about it, none of the animals in nature are obese. Like
Hmm.
I went to Africa, there was so much grass. not a single obese zebra. And there were so many obese, so many zebras, but not a single obese lion, right? So what are we doing wrong? And that's because we're putting fat in our body, fat that doesn't belong to us. People have high cholesterol. Cholesterol is only made by animals. If
Ah,
you don't eat animal products, you will not have high cholesterol. I mean, we are animals. We produce cholesterol. We need cholesterol.
hmm.
But the excess cholesterol is coming from animal products in our diet that we're not supposed to eat. Yet, we've grown up thinking that we're omnivores, right?
Yeah. So, doc, somebody will tell you that, oh, but I drink only skim milk. I eat fat free. I eat lean meat.
True, but you can't take out the fat from the cells inside the milk. So you're only taking out the outer fat by skimming the milk, and still 2% milk, 35% of its calories come from fat. 2% milk. Now, even fish, many fish, 35% of the calories come from fat. So
Hmm.
fish and milk, skim milk is similar. And whole milk is a whole other story.
I'm sure. My goodness, 35% of the calories come from
35%.
that is just shocking. Even I didn't know that. My goodness, that's really amazing. Because I know people were when I turned vegan, people asked, but how will you get your calcium and a whole bunch of questions like that. But
Absolutely.
first, I invariably tell them what is going on in my body when I consume a piece of meat, or what goes on in my body when I drink a glass of milk. What exactly happens to me in terms of my sugar, in terms of, and even though milk doesn't have sugar as such, right?
Actually, cow's milk has sugar.
Ah,
And it's called lactose,
hmm.
you
Okay.
know? So cow's milk has sugar too, actually. Not so much, but it has. Even human milk has sugar. Human milk has more sugar than cow's milk, actually. And human milk has less protein than cow's milk because protein is the food for growth and repair.
Ah,
And a calf grows to full size in 18 months, but humans grow to full size in 18 years. So our requirements of protein are totally different from animal requirements.
gosh, that's a lot to digest. Dr. Shah, what is the difference between using nutrition versus medicine in managing disease?
Okay, so one thing we have to recognize is that medicine never cures lifestyle diseases.
Hmm.
Like nobody got cured of diabetes or hypertension or any other lifestyle disease like hypothyroid or infertility or anything with medicines, right?
Hmm.
Medicine, cancer, whatever it be, medicines can control disease. Medicine can actually manage symptoms. That's all it can do.
Okay.
However, our body always works to heal. And our body is working to heal all the time. How do we know it? If you get a fracture,
Hmm.
nobody can heal you. The doctor will just put the bones together so that they cannot rub against each other
Yeah.
and they will heal, right? You get an injury, you will heal. You get fever and you don't do any treatment. And yet, everyone just rushes for medicines because we have been conditioned to believe, just like we believe we're omnivores, we've been conditioned to believe that if you get a disease, you should go to the doctor and get treated. But none of the animals on the planet get treated. They know how to heal themselves. And we are no less. We know how to heal ourselves, but we're just not accessing that part of our knowledge.
That's incredible. So I have a bunch of questions that have come up, Doc. Akanksha is asking, what should we consume for protein if we switch to being vegan?
Correct. And that's a natural question, right? Because we've been conditioned to believe that we need animal proteins. But we need to think, where does a cow get her protein from, or the horse, or the elephant.
Mm.
I mean, every single cell contains protein. You cannot escape protein. And by the way, how many people do you know with protein deficiency, Ruchira?
Not, I don't know anyone actually.
Exactly. If I ask you, do you know the symptoms of protein deficiency? You
No,
may not know. But if I ask you how many people do you know with diabetes, you probably know. And did you know
six
that
people in my
there,
family.
there are more people with diseases of protein excess? Let
Mm.
me tell you the diseases of protein excess: acidity, osteoporosis, gout, kidney disease. And actually people with gout and kidney disease are told not to eat proteins.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
cancer, because protein is the food for growth and cancer is a growth. And unfortunately people who have cancer are not told the most important thing that they should be told.
That's true. The link between between meat and milk and dairy being carcinogenic is never quite. There's not enough awareness of that.
But you know, there are really well researched books written on that.
Yeah.
And one of them that I'd like to share with your audience is the China study. It's an amazing book,
Okay. It's called the China Study.
the
We'll
China
ask
study.
the team to share that
The,
on the
the
Telegram.
China study by uh, T. Colin Campbell.
Okay. Okay. That's really good. I have another question, Doc. Jazz asking. She has hypothyroid and she takes a tablet, and she's asking, can that be reversed?
So let's go to any disease. Any disease can be reversed, but in order to reverse the disease, you
Mm.
need to remove the cause of the disease. Now, let me just explain something simple with diabetes because everyone knows someone with diabetes. Sugar is not the cause of diabetes.
Okay.
High blood sugar is the result of diabetes. The cause of diabetes is insulin deficiency or insulin resistance. And if we want to get rid of diabetes, we have to go there. Similarly, if we want to get rid of hypothyroid, we need to understand the causes of hypothyroid, which I started mentioning. One of them is hormones from outside, and these can be hormones from animal products, but it can also be hormones in medicines like oral contraceptives or steroid medications, etc. And it can also be hormone disruptors. Chemicals are hormone disruptors. And um, there's a huge way in which we get chemicals. First of all, medicines are chemicals.
That's true. Yeah.
And then personal care products, soaps and shampoos and toothpaste, and we are covering our body with chemicals all day long. So no wonder we get these hormonal problems. And when I was young, Colgate was the only toothpaste. Okay. Things have changed very fast.
Yeah. 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 Gosh, I didn't know, Doc, that it has the if somebody is suffering from hypothyroid, there is a connection also in terms of all the chemicals that we may be consuming in other ways.
Absolutely, because when you put something on your skin,
Hmm.
say your skin is dry and you put oil on it, after a while the oil will be gone, right? So instead of oil, most people put lotion these days. Have you ever looked at the ingredients of lotion? Mostly you can't pronounce half of them, right?
Hmm.
So all these chemicals are getting absorbed through our skin. And if you do studies on chemical levels in the blood of human beings, it's very high, partly from the pesticides in the food that we're eating, but partly from all these chemicals that we are absorbing through our skin and mucous membranes.
Okay. Doc, I'm going to, there are some more questions coming up, but I'm going to cover some of them in our myth busting time as well. So I do want to ask you, how does your program help me reverse diabetes and hypertension? How does that really help me?
So, my program tells you about all the causes of diabetes and hypertension. so that you're aware that these are things you need to keep out of the way. Like, for example, if you get an injury, and then if you keep doing this, then your injury will never heal.
Yeah.
But we don't recognize that we are doing this all the time with our diabetes and hypertension. You know, so if we remove the causes, diabetes and hypertension are going to heal. Our body always works to heal. Symptoms are only our body's way of talking to us and telling us, hey, something is wrong. And we take medicines to say, shut up to our body and get rid of the symptoms. Then we can never heal.
That's a beautiful analogy, Doc. But Doc, when I get diagnosed, I have hypothyroid, and when I was diagnosed, I was told that, oh, you're going to be on this medicine for life. Don't worry about it. It'll manage it. But I was told that my body will never regain the ability to produce the right amount of thyroid hormone.
Okay, so you know that's not quite true, and I do want to tell you that today we have some of our teammates, you know, Sharan teammates here. Now we have a rule in Sharan that nobody is allowed to join Sharan unless they have benefited from our lifestyle, and they, because we want people who can really help other people get well, right? And so we brought in today a few people who have diabetes and hypertension and obesity because we are going to talk about them. But I just want to tell you that one of them had hypothyroid and it's gone.
Wow.
Yeah, we have so many cases of hypothyroid, no
Yes.
longer taking Thyronorm, normal thyroid results.
That's incredible. So let's hear from them, Doc. Shall we take? Who would you like to call?
So that was the one I was speaking about was Vandana.
Okay.
Vandana, she lost a lot of weight as well, and she's one of our cooking instructors, and she's an amazing cooking instructor.
How fabulous. Shall we hear from Vandana? I'm just going to try and see whether I can unmute Vandana. Find her on the chat.
Hello everyone.
Hi, Vandana.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes, yes, absolutely clear.
Okay. So thank you for giving me this opportunity, doctor. And I would like to share about myself and my whole food plant-based journey with Dr. Nandita Shah and Sharan. And I was suffering from hypothyroid since 17 years, and I was vegetarian by birth, but something I'm doing is wrong. So I was just searching for good diet. I was doing gymming, exercising, but whatever I lose, I again gain the weight. Then I started following this lifestyle where I came to know about Sharan's cooking class. So I attended that class, that oil-free, even though I was using very less oil because of my weight issue. But oil-free, I was thinking that I should try this. So then when I attended this Dr. Sharan's cooking class, I was very clear about myself that what I have to do in my life. And then I attended, because I have lots of questions in my mind. Then I attended Dr. Nandita's full day seminar. So all the questions are answered by Dr. Nandita Shah, and then I started my whole food plant-based lifestyle. And as I was vegetarian, so I was very addicted to tea and coffee, even paneer and curd. So I wanted to learn that how I can make my curd and paneer into vegan or plant-based. Then I attended all the classes, and
But
now
Vandana, tell them about your weight loss because mainly they want to hear about
yes.
that. And
So, when I started my day with green smoothie, then I was feeling so energetic, and I was losing weight without any extra effort, which I was doing earlier, that going to gym, doing 2 hours of exercise, but I'm not losing weight. But after that, I started reducing weight, and I lost 16 kgs of weight.
My
And yes, and I would like to tell you that hypothyroid patient is like, for them it's very difficult to lose weight,
yeah,
and for me it's like very easy. I can reduce my weight, and I was just following Sharan's 5 principles, and
And now are you taking any thyroid medication?
no, since 4 years I have not taken a single pills, and that I was taking from 17 years.
And your
So
TSH count is normal,
yes,
Vandana?
now it's normal. When I was detected that time, it was 49,
My
and now yes, and now it was completely in control. And I checked with the in every 6 months, and everything is under control.
wow.
Yes. Even my family, my husband lost 13 kgs of weight, and my son is an athlete, and he follows this lifestyle, and he's a national level boxer, and international level he play throw ball, and he's doing very well in his games also.
How
So
fantastic. And your
yeah.
entire family follows this
Yes, because when I attended Sharan's cooking class, I just came home and I removed my oil ka dabba, because I was taking a very like hard. You get so many advertise of taking care of like diabetes oil also you get it. So I removed all my oil, my dairy product, because we are vegetarian and we'll consume lots of dairy product, and even the packaged product. So we have to remove packaged products also. We should start reading the labels, and then I was able to reverse my this lifestyle disease actually.
My
So
goodness, that's
because of
incredible to be off Thyronorm as well as to
yes,
come from a 49 count on TSH.
yes, correct.
That's really, really remarkable. And then 16 kilos. My goodness.
Yes,
How
correct.
long did it take for you to get here?
So,
Vandana?
I have to, like, I was suffering from acidity also. Acidity completely disappeared within a week. But weight loss took almost a year.
But that's still a
Yes,
remarkable
yes.
16 kilos in 1 year for somebody who suffers from thyroid. My goodness, that is still absolutely remarkable.
And I was off medication within a 1.5 year. It took
Wow.
to reverse my hypothyroid.
Yeah, my goodness. Thank you for sharing that, Vandana. How
Thank
remarkable is that?
Yes,
You don't quite believe that it is really, really possible till you talk to someone who's done it.
yes,
I,
actually. And when I changed, my family also changed into this lifestyle.
and your husband lost 13 kilos as
Yes,
well.
yes, yes.
And your son gets obviously enough protein to play.
Yes. Uh,
And
we have a two full shelves with the trophies in my house.
fabulous. How fabulous. Thank you so much, Vandana, for sharing that.
Thank you, Ruchi.
Doc, I have a whole bunch of questions.
Yes.
So, from the audience, so I'm going to actually take us into our myth busting time now, if
Okay.
you're okay with that, because a lot of those questions I think we will cover in this exercise.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I know all of you have been posting about, where will I get my protein, things like that. So, we're going to address some of these. We've got 10, and if we don't cover in these 10, you can tell us in the chat if you have something extra beyond that. So the first one, Doc, is of course, where will I get my protein from?
Yes, and you kind of already answered that one, right?
Yeah.
That every single cell has protein, so protein deficiency is only found in starvation or certain very severe kidney diseases. But in general, nobody has protein deficiency. It's protein excess that they're suffering from.
Okay. Okay. Um, Another question that I often get, Doc, is I'm a woman, I need calcium, otherwise I'll get osteoporosis, and only milk gives that. So I
Correct.
definitely need to
But
drink milk.
think about this, Ruchira.
Hmm,
All the people we know with osteoporosis were drinking milk all their life. So
that's true.
how did they get osteoporosis, right? And
True.
by the way, where does a cow get the calcium from? Correct. So we have to, once we start, see, the reason we have all these questions is because we've been told these myths over and over again that you need milk for calcium. And that has been done by the dairy industry that's constantly promoting its myth so that we'll keep buying dairy. But where does a cow get the calcium from? And hey, wait a minute. How come all the people who have osteoporosis,
Hmm,
I mean, they were having milk, right?
that's true.
So,
Yeah.
and plus, even if you take calcium tablets, nobody gets better from osteoporosis. Now that's because there's no dietary deficiency of calcium known in the world.
Oh,
That means you can never get a deficiency of intake of calcium. Now, how do people get osteoporosis in the first place then?
hmm.
And there are two reasons. One is lack of vitamin D, because you need vitamin D to absorb the calcium. And number two is if you take a lot of acid foods. For example, our body is alkaline, you know. If
Yeah.
we consume acid foods, like, you don't want to hear this, but tea, coffee, colas, and
Some-
and alcohol and vinegar and salt and sugar, these are acidic. And do you know something? Protein is also acidic. I mean, protein breaks down into amino acids. Everybody knows that. So excess protein is acidic. Now, when we take these acid foods, then the acid has to be neutralized, and it's neutralized by taking calcium out of the bones to neutralize that acid, and then it goes out of our body through the urine. And if you have too much protein, you're going to get kidney stones as well.
That makes absolute perfect sense, actually, Doc, because so I've noticed, I've noticed that I had a lot of, every time I would go for a blood test, it would say I have vitamin D deficiency and I have severe calcium deficiency. And now it makes sense to me that you said that, you know, it's the calcium is getting consumed to break down all the protein. Is that,
Correct.
that's what you explained, right?
Yes, and you know, there's plenty of calcium in greens and beans
Mm.
and all things. Calcium is a mineral, it comes from the ground. If something grows from the ground, it's going to have calcium.
Ah,
So, greens and beans and seeds and nuts, they all have calcium. And actually, you don't even need to count your calcium, you just need to get rid of the acidifying things. You know, packaged foods are also full of acids.
mm.
They call it acidifying agents because without the acid, things will spoil.
Ah. Back to your approach about your thought about refrigeration and preserving. That's incredible. Another common thing that comes up, Doc, is that vegan options are so expensive. You know, it's only for la-di-da people.
No, no, no. Vegan options are not expensive. What are vegan options? They are the foods which we eat anyway. What are they? Fruits and vegetables and beans and grains and seeds.
Hmm.
Now, honestly, if we are consuming animal products, then we are, I mean, the animal has to eat something. So it's always higher on the food chain, and so it should cost more. Now, I do understand that milk and eggs may not always cost more,
Hmm.
and that's because they're highly subsidized by the government.
Yeah.
But even then, like if you make soy milk, say you make soy milk at home,
Hmm.
then one handful of soybeans will make a liter of milk. It's actually cheaper. So once you start thinking a little different, see,
Hmm.
niche products may be expensive for the elite.
Hmm.
Markets can be anything, but fruits, vegetables, beans, and grains, everyone eats anyway, right?
That's true. It's just, I think, because people tend to buy packaged food, even in vegan options, they tend to go for a packaged option. Like when I buy a liter of, so my helper, she's still on a non-vegan diet, so she still consumes milk. But because I consume soy milk, and when I go out, I can clearly see if I bought the store-bought packaged soy milk, it's like I think about 160 rupees a liter, whereas regular milk is 75 rupees a liter. But I
Correct.
know that what you said, and I switched to that later when I realized that I can actually just use a handful of soybeans to make a liter of milk. I don't need to buy that packaged one.
True. And on top of it, you have a helper to do
Yeah,
it.
I'm blessed that way. Okay, let's go to number four. This is the first one that I heard from my friends because I was such a hardcore non-vegetarian all my life. They said ghas poos. You know, how will you feel full with that?
Oh, well, you know, that is important because when you eat chicken or cheese,
Mm.
then you feel really full. You feel so full that you can't get out of the chair, right?
Yeah, true.
But you don't feel that way with fruits and vegetables, and so initially you may feel hungry initially,
Mm.
and it requires a little shift in the way you feel, but actually in a short time you'll recognize that you feel lighter, you have more energy, and your feeling of fullness is not what it used to be before.
Mm.
It's actually better, but it takes a little time to make that kind of shift, you know.
Mm.
In the meantime, you won't put on weight even if you eat more. So initially when you shift, you may have to eat a bit more to feel satiated.
Okay. Okay. There's another one that, Doc, in fact, one of our listeners put this up as well, that their ancestors, their grandfathers and grandmoms had milk, they had ghee, they never had, these lifestyle diseases.
True, true. Let's take the real ancestor Krishna,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So we have to think that, like, Krishna had so many cows. How many cows? 100,000, whatever.
Yeah.
So why was he stealing milk products?
Why?
Yeah, because if the calf drinks the milk, there's nothing left. No mother produces more milk than her baby needs, right?
Ah,
So
true.
there's hardly any left. Now, over the years, things have changed a lot. And so, when the calf is born, if it's a male, even the colostrum is sold. That means the first milk of the mother is sold as a delicacy. In
Mm.
Bombay, it's known as cheek. And the calf goes to make calf leather and veal or whatever, right? And if it's a female, she's also tied up so that the milk goes to the market. And the cows are artificially inseminated again and again. And this increases hormones. It also increases the stress hormone, adrenaline in
Mm.
the milk, and so on. There are many, many, many repercussions of consuming dairy that we don't know because we're so used to it today,
Mm.
you know.
And it wasn't processed, or it was not created in the same way that it used to be in the old days.
But even if you think about it, if our grandmothers were consuming milk,
Mm.
right? They could consume milk if they had their cow or they were living in the village and the cow was easily. Because when I was young, you know,
Mm.
milk was not easily available in cities like Bombay, major cities, where you could get milk through rationing. And you know something, organized dairy sector was set up by the British. So
Mm.
before that, we didn't really have an organized dairy sector. Amul was the first. This is in the late 1950s that it was set up.
Mm.
So we are talking about very recent history when our grandparents had, and otherwise they didn't have so much.
Mm.
Like cheese is a concentration of milk. 1 ounce of cheese is 16 ounces of milk. 1 ounce of paneer is 12 ounces of milk. I mean, it's concentrated 16 and 12 times. So no matter what we do, since we're having milk, sweets, and cheese and paneer, we are having huge concentrations of milk. Our forefathers never had this. I mean, I know my grandmother had milk, but she had it in her tea.
Mm.
I mean, there was maybe a little bit of buttermilk,
Mm.
you know.
Mm.
Actually, if you think about all our Indian recipes,
Yeah.
all original Indian recipes, they are not full of milk. The milk was even diluted,
Mm. Because it was
just because it
expensive, and
wasn't available.
uh,
Yeah,
it was hard to find, hard to buy.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I remember even as a child, I went with the teen ka dabba to the mother dairy with the slots. And it used to be Russian, like you said. So consumption was quite different, and even a lot of the sweets that we consumed were non-dairy sweets actually.
Correct, correct. And you're not even as old as I am.
So I have another one, Doc. Um, a lot of moms believe that ghee is really important for the child's growth, especially between the age of like 0 to 7 or 0 to 10. to build immunity, to build better bones, etc. They really, really feel that ghee is so, so important.
True, but this is such an Indian concept, right?
Yeah,
People are growing all over the world without ghee. Right.
that's true. That's true. So that's a bit of a myth as well, Doc, that it's actually not so essential.
Right. I mean, it's actually harmful, but that's a whole other story that we won't go into. But I just want us to recognize that, we've been blinded by all kinds of things that people have told us,
Hmm.
but many of them may not be true. So the minute you have to question something, we have to think, oh, but what about the rest of the world?
Can you give us one idea of how ghee is actually detrimental
Well,
for?
well, actually, think about this. Imagine that this is an artery with blood. The water is blood flowing through it, right? And um, in high blood pressure, the artery is narrower and the blood doesn't flow so freely. Now, imagine if I put a bit of ghee into this or oil.
Hmm.
Will it flow well?
No, it's going to be harder.
Yeah. So, oil is bad enough.
Hmm.
But animal fat is solid at room temperature. Animal fat makes the blood even more viscid. And therefore, it's even more detrimental than oil. And you heard Vandana talk about how she got rid of oil.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's quite remarkable. Doc, another question that people have is plants don't give me B12. Where do I get
True, and honestly, nor do animals.
hmm,
I mean, B12 is only produced by bacteria. Now, meat and milk are decaying substances, and you may get a bit of B12 there.
hmm,
But actually, vegetarians, non vegetarians, and vegans all have B12 deficiencies these days. And
yeah.
that's largely because of the mobile phone towers, the microwaves that are all over the place that
Oh,
destroy B12, and so does alcohol, and so do chemicals. Like chemicals, again, pesticides, and all, there's no bacteria left anywhere.
hmm,
Water is chlorinated, or otherwise it's zero B. So, I mean, we are back to killing all the bacteria, and then on top of it, some people take antibiotics. Of course, I teach people how to be free of antibiotics, but if you're killing all the bacteria, then how will you get your vitamin B12?
okay, okay. I didn't know antibiotics was a contributing factor as well.
That's why many doctors give B12 with antibiotics.
Yeah, they do actually. That's true. And invariably, people ignore that taking that one. Okay, I have another question, Doc. Doesn't soya or consuming soya products cause cancer? Isn't soya like a carcinogenic?
There's so many myths about soya, but here's what I ask you and the whole audience as well.
Uh,
How many of you know somebody who got cancer or thyroid or any disease for that matter from eating too much soy? I
I,
have to still come across that patient, and I've been practicing for a long time. Like, I don't know a single such person. Soy is just a bean. If you've seen soybeans, it looks like tur dal, a little bigger,
yeah, yeah.
right? I mean, can't harm you more than tur dal. Everybody's eating dal every day. How can soybean be a bioweapon?
Okay, okay. In fact, Sumana had asked this question as well, Doc. Can soy milk be consumed by a hypothyroid patient?
Actually, yes, but there is a thing to soy that these days in the world, soy has been, um, genetically modified soy is available, and that is extremely harmful.
Okay, okay. So again, it's better to buy naturally farmed or organic soy.
Yeah, I mean, that's true for everything.
Hmm. Yes, that's true. Okay. Zeta's asking, doesn't oil also have a good essential cholesterol?
No, actually, oil, oil, plants don't produce cholesterol. Therefore, no oil contains cholesterol. So there is no cholesterol in oil at all, anyway.
But doc, all the advertising, my God,
The advertising says
us.
zero cholesterol oil, which is true because none of the oil has cholesterol anyway.
My God.
Advertising, we need a course in advertising, to become really wise, right?
Yeah, but everyone says that consuming oil is contributing to.
Even coconut and cashews don't have cholesterol because they're not animals.
So only animal fat has cholesterol.
Only animals produce cholesterol.
Only animals.
Only animals produce.
Okay. What about eggs, doc? Zeta's asking about that too. Don't you need eggs?
Egg is one of the highest packages of cholesterol you can find. And the other one is shellfish.
Ah, okay. So that brings me to another question, doc. Whenever we're really unwell, those of us who are definitely like, non-vegetarians, we're told that to get back your strength after, or to basically recover from disease, you need like chicken soup, you need eggs, you need like a
But
glass.
that's actually not true. And you and I know this because the day you eat chicken or eggs,
Hmm.
do you feel energetic? Actually, you feel heavy because it takes a long time to digest because it's not the food for us. So
Hmm.
our stomach has to take a lot of effort to digest food, which is not suitable to us. Remember the diesel in the petrol car. So, but actually, if you consume the foods that we recommend, which
Hmm.
is basically fruits and vegetables, maybe the techniques of cooking are different, but you feel like bouncing with energy, which is what Vandana said. And I know we're running out of time, but I do want the audience, if possible, to
Yeah.
meet Madhura and to meet Tehseen if you like,
Yeah.
because Tehseen reversed diabetes and Madhura at a young age got a stroke. Like that's even worse than just high blood pressure. And
Yeah.
so imagine if they could reverse those things.
That's fantastic. Let's have, shall we bring Tessin on first and then we'll come to Madhura as well. Tessin, let me just see if I can unmute you. And I have some more questions coming up after that, Doc.
Okay.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, you are, Tessin. Hi.
Okay. Hi. Thank you, Dr. Nandita. Thank you, Mystic Lotus, for the opportunity not only to share my experience of reversing diabetes, but to actually relive this amazing life-changing experience I had in my life. One of the best decisions I ever made. So just to, speak about that, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes in the year 2012 following a sudden and serious operation, which left me bedridden for almost 6 months. And I was really shattered at that point in time and very shocked that to have got diabetes at such a young age, because I'm a doctor's daughter and I've always believed in, I'm aware of the health part and some form of exercise. And I always thought I was eating healthy. However, I still got type 2 diabetes. And I was put on insulin and oral medication by the doctors because of my diabetes levels were pretty high. And I remember initially I didn't know what to eat because even with few simple foods like idli, sambar, my sugars used to shoot up at time. And I visited some of the top diabetologists in Mumbai and nutritionists. And, like Dr. Nandita said, I was given the usual advice of, okay, keep off sugar and, fruits like, okay, chikus and mangoes and stuff like that, which are high in sugar, as well as, carbohydrates, like keep off, your white potatoes and white rice, etc.
Hmm.
So, of course, I started on my restricted diet. And my sugars used to fluctuate and was sort of, some days controlled, not controlled. But my medication never went down. In fact, it gradually sort of became a little higher.
Hmm.
And this went on for 1.5 years till I was very fortunate that, few friends in my complex mentioned that, okay, there's an organization called SHARAN and they deal with diabetes reversal. So hearing anything connected to diabetes, and I was desperate to get rid of diabetes from my life because everyone I met said, once you get diabetes, you're a diabetic for life.
Yeah.
And it was like some life sentence, not death sentence, like a life sentence I had received that oh my God, I'm going to be this way, and then I'm going to be on insulin and side effects and etc. So I went and I attended Sharan's Reversing Diabetes seminar, and I was told that reversing diabetes is possible. And frankly speaking, I was quite skeptical at first. And I was like, is that really possible just by making few lifestyle changes and, certain changes in eating habits? But then it struck me that if there is even half a chance that I reverse my diabetes, especially with the compelling logic that I heard during that presentation, I said, let me go for it. And that is when I started following Sharan's guidelines 100%. And this was a switch to a whole food plant-based diet. And I'm born and brought up in a Muslim family, hardcore non-vegetarian, having non-veg animal products 4 times a day. And I'm having to make that switch. It was definitely difficult, and there were some challenges initially, especially, during the first 10 days. But let me say this, that I dealt with it by educating myself that, okay, what are the benefits, what are the advantages, and most importantly, what are the replacements for, whether it's milk and cheese and curd and all my, my non-veg dishes that I had. And that's how actually I started enjoying the process, because like doctor said, actually the food started seeming really delicious. And in fact, I used to check my sugars 3 times a day just to see what is the effect of this Sharan lifestyle diet on my sugars. And I was amazed that by the 3rd day, my sugar started tumbling down. And I was eating quite a lot. And I said 3 days, I said, okay, maybe I was really intrigued. I said, I'm on to something, a little positive over here. And that was it. And this went on for like 21 days, where at the end of 21 days, the doctor declared that, okay, your medications have been reducing, and when you've reversed your diabetes, there's no need for any more medication. And that was one of the happiest days of my life. I couldn't believe it. And I was like, oh my God, have I really reversed my diabetes in 21 days? And of course, I couldn't believe it for a few days. But let me say this very clearly. This was 6 years back in 2014, and 6 years since, I'm diabetes free and medicine free. And I experienced numerous benefits in these 6 years. And initially, like my HbA1c was almost 9.3. It came down to 5.4. So, those of you who know about diabetes, the average sugar marker. And sorry?
No, I said it should be within 5.4 and below.
No, it should be at least 6 and below.
6 and below is the marker. And today it stands at anywhere between, 5.5, 5.6. And this is like 6 years hence. So, sometimes people feel, oh, you've reversed your diabetes, but did it actually stay? The answer is it's been 6 years and it's been great. And apart from...
Tessin, you never had to go back to medicine again?
Never, Ruchira, never, ever. And I did my test every 6 months, and now I do it every year. Initially, I did it for 6 months, for about 3 years, just to be sure, is my HbA1c okay? Is my PP and my fasting okay? Are my other parameters okay? And doctor has seen some of my blood test reports in the past, and they've all been like a green signal, and it's been really good. It's been actually amazing.
Did you lose any weight?
Yes, doctor. I was just coming to that. So my HbA1c was first. Second was I lost almost 12 kgs. Wow. And this was in a span of almost 1.5 months, which was a very short time period. And 12 kgs is a lot of weight. And I started looking younger than my age, which was, of course, for all of us women on the call, it's always a happy side effect. It's always amazing to have that. So that was my second thing. And just very quickly, other things that happened was my energy levels. I used to be such a, lethargic person, and going to work, coming back, and suddenly I find my energy levels shooting up, and I have more time and energy to do things in my life. And, apart from that, actually, I would say that even, mood-wise, like I just want to say this as a woman, and we are on a Women's Tele Summit, that I used to experience, whether it's anxiety, anger, stress, being very emotional, sadness, all this used to happen, right? Like a lot of us experience that, and that is also, hormonal, and, people say that. But let me tell you, after I switched to a plant-based diet, I was definitely happier and calmer and more content. And I know this for a fact because not only I felt it, like I remember, few of my family members remarking on one trip that, oh God, you've changed 180 degrees, like you're almost Zen-like at times. Because I used to be so different early on, prone to getting hecked up quickly and all that. So that was another beautiful effect of, not only reversing diabetes, but, facing all this. And last but not the least, if I may just say, all those restrictions of no mangoes and no chikus and stuff like that. Today, truly, I eat everything plant-based with no quantity restriction. So that's another beautiful thing of the SHARAN lifestyle. No quantity restriction. It's just about quality. Eat when hungry, drink when thirsty. And if you follow that, it's like today I can have pizzas, plant-based pizzas, and milk and cheese and curd and cakes and cookies and everything. It's not like deprivation that, oh my God, I'll have to let go of all that. It just needs to be veganized and made plant-based. And more importantly, mangoes. I'm really relishing my mangoes and chikus and custard apple and all that. And I really want to say, like, last 2 summers, I personally, and I'm saying this because I've been an ex-diabetic, that's a lovely thing to say, but I had more than 70 mangoes myself in the entire summer, and my HbA1c was fine. There were times I was just having mangoes for lunch and mangoes for dinner and breakfast. So that's what I want to just invite all the diabetics out there, because I know what it is to be a diabetic, to have those insulin injections in your tummy, to have oral medication. Food is laid out for everyone, and you are the one, cannot have this, cannot have that, cannot have these sweets. It's a life of deprivation and, like a life sentence. So I really want to invite all the diabetics out there, especially the women, not being a feminist, but, since it's a Women's Tele Summit, that truly there is an opportunity to reverse these chronic life diseases, because later on, even as per research and the truth, it's like you don't know where it's going. Like, people think diabetes is like a cough and cold and every house has a diabetic and there's so many diabetics. No, it's a chronic ailment, and it leads to neuropathy and nerve damage and lot of other issues later on that you don't even know of. And here's your opportunity, not by taking medicines that you're going to cure yourself, but just by making these lifestyle changes, losing weight, all the other happy side effects. So that's just something to think about.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Tessin. That you made a really, really
Thank you, Ruchira.
you made a really,
Thank
really
you.
important point. Because we see everyone around us, so many people around us suffering from diabetes, we kind of have discounted it, saying that, oh, it's not so life-threatening. Just take some medicine, manage it. But we don't realize the long-term repercussions it has. Actually, as we age, things get worse, and all the other ailments that come together. I mean, already we know that diabetes and hypertension are both linked. Invariably, people will suffer from both.
Absolutely. It has the same causes.
Just because it is so common, we don't pay it enough attention, and we don't think that it's actually reversible. You can live free, like medicine free, and you can eat whatever you want.
Absolutely.
That's fabulous. Thank you so much, Tessin.
You're most welcome. Thank you.
Thanks. Shall we hear from Madhavi as well? Really curious.
Madhura.
Madhura. There's Madhura.
Hello.
Hi, Madhura.
Hi, good evening. Thank you, Ruchira, for inviting me here. And thank you, Dr. Nandita.
Thank you. Please do share your story. It's how remarkable is that?
Okay, so I'm a whole food plant-based nutritionist with the SHARAN team for the last 6 years now. And I'm really fortunate enough to be in this group because I so have benefited with this lifestyle. And it started about 14 years back. Like one day at the age of 25, just woke up in the morning and I was paralyzed on my left side. And it was an overnight issue. Like there was no symptoms, or there was like nothing happening before that that indicated that something like this is going to happen. And I was rushed to the ER. My mom is a doctor, she's an MD, and she rushed me to the hospital where my blood pressure was 220 by 180. The normal is 120 by 80.
Mm.
And they thought that, it's just one episode where only my face is affected on the left side. So they got me admitted. They immediately started me on steroids and, all the possible medication, antihypertensives and everything. And within a span of 12 days, my entire left side was completely paralyzed. I was immobile, couldn't do my basic things also. And during the whole span of the day, I was taking about 9 pills, thrice a day. It was kind of hectic, loads of CT scans, MRIs, and they really couldn't really figure out what happened, because at the age of 25, nothing really happens to you, right? I was obese, like I'm a Goan. So can you imagine? Food is completely full of fish, and being a Bengali, you can understand, like always eating chicken, always eating eggs, and my mother being a doctor, an egg a day was like an apple a day. It was like an egg a day was always necessary for the protein and everything. So very bad eating habits, and living alone in Mumbai. So, always eating vada paos and everything. So pretty bad lifestyle. Being a nutritionist also, couldn't really afford my own consultation that time. And yes, I was very sick. And finally, seeing the social scenario in India, I moved to the US. And there I got like a lot of support from, and US is a kind of handicap friendly country. So, a lot of free physiotherapy and everything. But the turning point was when I got married, and my husband was very pro plant based, because he had very high cholesterol, and uh, he was pre-diabetic, and he didn't want to start any medication for diabetes and cholesterol. So he got the plant based lifestyle home, and that's how we changed as a family. So yes, it was like the nutritionist in me was very, very, confused. Like I had two small kids that time, and should I be like, am I giving them enough protein, calcium, all these questions that you are asking right now, all those went through my mind. And then finally I was like, okay, let me just give this a shot. And it was most remarkable decision, because I think in a week I lost about 4 kgs. And it was like I couldn't believe it, like how the scale was dropping every day. It was the post pregnancy weight, but yet I was dropping. And within a span of 7 to 8 months, I lost about 27 kgs. i
My
was
goodness.
I was huge. I was huge. From 87 kgs, I came down to 60 kgs.
Oh,
And it was amazing. The transformation was amazing. And now, if you look at me or if you hear me, because I had to relearn everything, like, right from talking to tying my hair to walking to holding stuff in my hands. I have only started running about 4 to 5 years back. I did not even run before that.
mm.
So it's been it's a relearning process which happened. And now I'm completely off medications. I'm not taking anything, not a single tablet for my hypertension and anything. I was addicted to coffee, because I was working in a research lab in the US, and I had to keep steady to work under the microscope.
Mm.
And because of the left-sided weakness, I needed coffee to be alert. And I was taking about these 10 to 12 cups coffee a day, and now I'm completely off it. So actually, Sharan helped me. Yes, Sharan helped me understand, all these minute things like the importance of vitamin D and B12, because I started the plant-based journey in US, but
Mm.
after coming back to India and joining Sharan, it's a learning process every day. You meet so many people. Now I do consultations and everything for Sharan. So I really urge people that, do get on to this journey. Like we like attend one class for like Sharon's cooking class, and you get to know how many different kinds of things you can do. It's not that, suddenly, oh my God, I'm enjoying so much, and now suddenly you have to drop everything and shift to ghas poos. It is not like that. There's a lot of things that you can do. Like we even have mock meat classes and everything. So for a Goan like me, that was like, like fish fries and everything can be done, because as Dr. Nandita said, it's all in the spices and it's all in the flavors.
Mm.
So yes, you can do it, and you can lead a very, like a normal healthy life. You don't have to be dependent on medication or anything. So just a few classes with us, or consultations with us, and it's you know a whole new way of life. Like both my kids, age 9 and 7. My 7-year-old has not even tasted dairy. So it's something that we have not been to a doctor. We only go to the doctor because the school needs a certificate at the beginning of the year. Otherwise, we barely see the doctor. No antibiotics, nothing. So it's a pretty amazing life, I must say.
And I think in this new, the new normal and in this new age, we don't want to visit any doctor or hospitals as far as possible.
Exactly. Like in the lockdown, like one sneeze and one cough, and it was like, oh my God, I've got the COVID. But luckily, we neither had one sneeze, neither had one, not even gone through the normal flu season this time. So it's touch wood. It's been remarkable. Like I have not been to the doctor in the past, like personally, like me myself, I've not been to a doctor in the last 6 years, except a little clumsy self if I've hurt myself and dislocated my arm and stuff. I've been to the doctor, but not for a fever or anything like that.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Madhuri.
Thank you so much, Ruchira. Thank you.
Thanks, Madhura. In fact, Tessin, Madhura, we've got a whole bunch of people congratulating you on the group. I just got an alert. There's a whole bunch of people congratulating you on your story. What remarkable turnarounds! How fabulous, Doc. I have one last question before we share our packages, etc., that you're offering today. I've heard that it doesn't matter how old people are when they take your program, they still are able to reverse and they're still able to bring a lot of change to their diabetes and hypertension issues.
Well, most cases of diabetes and hypertension, yes.
Hmm.
And everything can't be reversed with
Yeah, no,
old
I'm
age.
talking in diabetes and hypertension.
Yes, but yes, I mean, it's really amazing, and a lot of almost everything can be reversed. Let me put it that way, because to say everything would be a bit of a lie, but almost everything can be.
No, I was just
Lifestyle diseases can be.
particularly because a lot of people think that it's one thing to be 30 or 25 and
Oh
be
yeah, I mean, really,
diabetes.
I have patients who are 80 and 70, and they're doctors too, some of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because even doctors get sick, and they also know that you can't get cured with medicines.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. In fact, I had a question from Akanksha. She says, my mother takes insulin. She's been taking it for years and she has high BP for decades. She's asking, can we get her off the insulin and the BP medication?
Absolutely.
Because it
Absolutely,
has
yes.
been worsening for her and she's already started seeing nerve damage and nerve blockage.
Absolutely, yes. But obviously, when you've had it for so many years, it's a process, and it may take a few months, but it doesn't take that long. It's surprisingly quick.
Yeah,
Diabetes and hypertension are surprisingly quick.
Tessin also mentioned that, my goodness, she saw a change in like a week's time in her sugar levels. That's quite remarkable. Zeta's asking, Doc, type 1 diabetes, can that also be reversed or just properly contained?
So type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disease. Like many other autoimmune diseases, multiple sclerosis and ankylosing spondylitis, it depends on the extent of the damage. And the answer is yes. Like I myself suffered from an autoimmune disease, and that was part of my path into this because I was a regular, you know. The truth is yes, but not always, because sometimes too much damage is done. But this is the only way that I know in the world that you can reverse an autoimmune.
Ah, okay. Okay, that's really useful. Akanksha is also asking, what should be the quantity of fruits and vegetables and thus we consume? Should they be cooked or raw?
Yeah, so that's a much longer thing. And in general, raw is always better than cooked. So we should include raw in our daily diet every single day. And you know what? We actually, this, as Madhura said, that we have to learn everything again. We have to learn to listen to our body. Our body knows how to heal, and our body will tell us how much to eat and how much not to eat. For example, simple thing, when you have fever, right? Then our body tells us how to heal. What does your body tell you when you have fever?
That you need to rest.
Absolutely, that you should rest. And how much should you eat when you have fever?
Starve the fever or something like that, right?
Not what other people say. What does your body say?
Um, Usually just to have something warm and liquid, and that's all.
That's what your mother says.
Yeah, that's
But
what actually.
actually, your body says don't eat. Your mother says have something,
Yeah, you do
right?
lose appetite. That's true.
You lose appetite. So
That's
your body tells us through symptoms how to heal.
true. Hmm.
And so our body tells us how to heal, and our body will tell us how much to eat. It's a little bit of a learning process.
Okay. Okay. Doc, I have one more question from Mona Lisa. She's asking, can veganism help depression?
Absolutely, yes. In fact, it's the only way that I know that depression can be very quickly reversed. And I do want to mention here a fabulous book called Depression: The Way Out, which also talks about the experience of a medical doctor in cattle country in USA. Everybody was depressed, and he started a vegan restaurant. And people thought he was mad, but because they reversed depression, they got better.
How
So
incredible.
he had lines outside his restaurant just because people were feeling better in the state of mind.
That's remarkable. Great. Doc, shall we share what the offers you have today for everyone? Because otherwise we'll miss out on that. Let me just share my screen and we'll take a look. Just going to minimize these things. Because I know you have this incredible program, reversing diabetes and hypertension. And I would like everyone to go through. Okay. That's the first program you have, Doc.
Yes, and that's really for people who do want to know everything and then jump into it. Because I truly believe that knowledge is the pathway to cure. So we do have this for people who want to learn everything and start doing it, like Tehseen. Tehseen did it, and Vandana did it, and so on.
Mm-hmm. And this doc it's a seminar that's held over 2 half days. You conduct this yourself,
Yes.
and of course, anyone who's attending these programs, doc, they have to get their tests done before they start the program.
No, not for this one. This one is like we don't have the opportunity to see everyone's test reports or things like that. They will be explained how they can take charge of their health. That's what this seminar is. You have two other offers. You want to show them that, and so
This doc, because you do have a lot
yeah.
of things that you're offering with this.
Yeah. So, I do want to say that what's great about this is that, now that this is all on webinar, the whole family can watch it with the same ticket. And that's really beneficial because as you saw, and you saw all these people whose families have changed. And that's because, if everyone understands, nobody wants to do things which are harmful to their health.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's really great. And yes, we have packed in a bonus, and you heard these people talk about these fabulous cooking classes. And so you have an option of 14 different cooking classes that you can get for free. Like they're not free for us, but we're giving them free to Mystic Lotus people.
That's fantastic. That's really, really generous, Doc. I just want to remind everyone, so the Reverse Diabetes and Hypertension Seminar looks at reversing both of these big, big issues. I think a lot of people have family members who are facing it, or they themselves face it as well. It tells you what are the steps that you have to take in order to reverse these two. and it also supports, Doc, you also
Yes, you also have, we create a group of all the people who attend, and we have people supporting them. And actually, the group is so dynamic because, when one person's getting results, everyone wants to get results, and everyone does it together. And they even enjoy doing it together, and they post their pictures of the food they're eating and enjoying, and then they ask each other for recipes. I can't even keep up with the group. They're so excited.
That's
Yeah.
fabulous. And doctor, this looks at both type 2 diabetes and hypertension, and it looks at also heart disease and stroke. Uh,
Yeah. Hypertension is the precursor of heart disease and stroke in most cases. So it looks at all of these together and the causes, so
okay.
that you really understand the causes, and then you remove them, and your diseases are gone.
And it's a really, really clear instruction in terms of what you
Absolutely,
doing,
absolutely.
what you
Yes.
should avoid, what you should weed out. And you do a lot of troubleshooting as well, I believe, Doc, in terms of if I'm in a fix, I don't know how to change this in my diet, I can ask you, how do I
I
do?
mean, that happens on the WhatsApp group.
Okay.
So this is not that individualized as the other two programs are.
Hmm.
This one is with me, and I do explain things in a lot of detail. And then some troubleshooting is done on the WhatsApp group.
Okay.
However, here what you don't get is actually like if you take a consultation, the other two are consultations. If you take a consultation, then the doctor is actually looking at your medicines and telling you which ones to reduce first. In this, I explain the procedure so that you can do it by yourself or with your own doctor at home.
But they can
And
also
the
buy
best
a
part,
consult additionally as well later after the
yes, they can.
this.
The best part about diabetes and hypertension reversal, and this is why we have a seminar, is that you can check your own blood sugar and blood pressure levels,
Okay.
and see how they're improving, and make changes,
I'm just
at
going to,
home.
okay. I'm just checking for, so yeah, I was just checking if the links to purchase this are already up. We'll go to the next one.
So this is a 3-month health gain program with our other doctors.
Hmm.
And there we have a basic cooking. All the 3 programs have the basic cooking class in it.
Okay.
And that's a 30-day class. Like, you have the class for 30 days, but it's just a simple class. It teaches you techniques of how to make the food really delicious, so that whatever you're making, you can convert into healthy plant-based cooking.
Okay.
And then it contains 6 consultations with the doctor.
Hmm.
And what's so great about this is that the doctor can actually, over this period of time, reduce the medication.
Okay. Okay.
And of course, here also there's a bonus which we normally don't give, but you're offering it.
Let me just screen share again. 1 second. Okay. So that's your 3 months personalized health gain program, Doc.
Yes. And that has built-in support.
Okay. And this, of course, happens over Skype or Zoom, and this
Or
it's
phone, whatever they like. Yes.
personalized, so they can look at their, how they're doing all through the program as well, and they can take your help in terms of, they can take the doctor's help in terms of making small changes here and there too.
Absolutely. Yes.
That's fantastic. Also, I just want to remind everyone they get a full written synopsis at the end of the consultation. That's really.
Yes. So that nobody misses what they have to do. And the synopsis is the synopsis of the whole consultation. So, all the things that we've discussed will be written down for them, so that it's all in writing.
Yeah, and that's really useful, Doc, because I think when people suffer from certain diseases, and especially like lifestyle disease, they need to keep track in terms of, okay, if I do this, what impact will it have on this?
Absolutely, yes,
In that medicine also, how do I, balance things out?
yes.
It's helpful to have all of this written out. And
And,
also,
and this is 3 months long, and often people can reverse in 3 months. That's why we kept it 3 months long, you know?
that's fabulous. That's
Yeah.
fabulous. And that's 6,500 rupees. That's only $101. My God, to be rid of something in just this much is fantastic.
Actually, they're saving a lot more because the medicines often cost way more than this.
Yeah, medicine, the doctor's consults, all the other future complications. My goodness.
But we have the goal of building a culture of health. And we know that, you know, some people can afford and some people can't afford whatever. We want everyone to be able to get that knowledge.
Hmm. That's really, really generous, Doc.
Yeah.
I'm going to share the last one, of course. That's the 2 months personalized weight loss program you're offering.
And that's with our nutritionists, and that's similar to the 3 month health gain program in the sense that they will have, repeated consultations and WhatsApp support, and it will be guided. And if you're on medicines, the earlier one is much better because you're under a doctor. If you're not on medicines, and this is really good because the nutritionists give you more time in terms of food and all that. And more support. So both of these are really good too. I mean, all our programs are goal oriented programs because we believe that everyone who gets better will help another. So many people get better. And that's how we're building our culture of health.
And Doc, I mean, because women, I think, manage the kitchen and the house invariably, so they kind of influence the health of the whole family.
Absolutely. And the best part is like Vandana spoke about oil free and so on. And here's what I want to tell you, like, because we've been brought up in a culture which is like you start cooking with oil, right? If not butter or ghee.
Hmm.
So nobody can think about cooking without oil. But the substitutes for oil are even more delicious than oil because oil has bad taste. And actually, if you replace it with grated coconut or roasted crushed peanuts or sesame, it's so delicious. The food actually gets more delicious.
That's true. That's true.
And
Um,
you lose weight at the same time. All three of them lost weight.
That's true. Doc, so the 3 month program as well as the 2 month program, the 3 month was for health gain, and that was addressing people who are already on medication for
Yes,
lifestyle.
yes.
The 2 month program is, of course, the weight loss program that where you may not be on any medicine, you may not have any lifestyle disease, but
Right.
you have weight issues that you want to resolve.
And
Uh,
honestly, even if you don't have weight issues, it's a program with the nutritionist and they will help you.
so it also helps with all your vitamin B, your
Absolutely, absolutely. We do every single program or consultation program is with tests. It's very, very thorough. Our programs are thorough because we want to get the results. We don't want our patients to come back to us again and again.
So, Doc, in these two programs, the one for 2 months and the one for 3 months, the person will have to get their tests done before the start of the
Yes,
program,
yes.
as well as during, or only at the end of the program.
Well, no, that depends on their situation, but they definitely need to get the test done at the beginning of the program. And if all the tests are reasonably good, then they don't need to get another test done at the end because it can't get worse. It will only get better, right? So it depends on their situation, which their doctor will tell them. But yes, it's true that they need to get their tests done. They need to fill in a patient data form
Okay.
and submit all this in order to start the consultation. And we also ask them to watch the basic online cooking class before starting the consultation because we don't want them to miss a day in getting the results.
Okay. Okay. Obviously, Doc, the tests are not included in these packages. The
No,
tests they
that's
have to
not
get
possible.
done
Yeah,
independently.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's the 3 months that we saw already, the 3 months personalized health gain program. This is especially good for people who are on medication to then move away from it. That's 6,500. That's $101. And they can do these programs from anywhere, right? Right, Doc? We'll share.
Yeah, anywhere in the world, no problem, because these are individualized, and so they can set up the timing according to what we need. The webinar though is not, I mean, it has a timing, so if you're not, if that's your bedtime, then it won't work, but otherwise it will.
Do they, if in case they miss it, Doc, do they get a replay of the seminar?
No, because it's interactive and it's really learning. However, yeah, so this 2 half days, we put it into half days so that many people around the globe can get it, but some people will be missing it. So it's, 5 to 8, it's around this time.
Okay, that's a good
So
time.
all your audience should be able to make it.
Great. So reverse diabetes and hypertension. That's plus they get that bonus over here where the family can attend the course on as along.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a bonus, not just for the family, but even for the patient, because it always helps if everyone helps.
Yeah, and you get to they can get to ask all their questions like everyone did today, because we've all grown up with all these myths around, that milk is good or that eggs are good. They get to ask these questions firsthand and get answers for themselves. So that's much better support. Okay, so that's 5,310. That's the reverse diabetes. My God, Doc, that is really, really generous for an ailment that is so widespread and
Absolutely.
and so known to be like as.
And I would like to tell you that these all are our pandemic rates. I mean, my regular seminar rates are a little higher, but these are the pandemic rates because we believe that now is the opportunity because, with the pandemic, diabetes and hypertension are actually, I mean, life threats, right? Number one. And number two is that many people are eating at home.
Yeah.
So here's the opportunity to get well as well,
That's true. That's true. Yeah, diabetes is one of the major comorbidities for COVID. Okay, we'll just take them all through. So there's a 3 months personalized health gain program. That's 6,500. That's $101. The links to purchase are already on the chat. And you have the 2 months personalized weight loss program. Although you get to see weight loss even in the other two programs.
Absolutely. No matter what you do with us, weight loss is a byproduct of health gain.
Happy side effect.
Yeah.
So that's 5,900. I can't believe that I can lose 16 kilos for just 5,900. Usually weight loss programs are so expensive. Okay, that's great. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so everyone can get in there. I have a couple of questions, I think. Jaya's asking, the 3 months package says 6 Zoom consultations of half an hour each. Is that not too less time? She's asking, isn't that too short?
Well, it's not a matter of how long you consult, but it's a matter of what you do between those consultations. So you will be guided to do it, and then you have to do it, and no, that's not too little time, because you will be well on your way to reversal, if not already reversed in 30 days.
Okay, that's fabulous.
In 3 months, sorry, 3 months, not 30 days.
She's also asking, will the sessions be conducted as per our availability?
Yes, I mean, you and the doctor will fix up a mutually convenient time, you and the consultant.
She's also asking about when will the cooking classes be conducted and how many classes or sessions is that?
So all these include the basic online cooking class,
okay,
which is a pre-recorded class.
Okay, so they can take
you can, and it's just a basic class. And the reason you have it for 30 days is only so that you can revise it, but you can actually watch it in just, an hour or two.
Okay. And the bonus that they're getting, Doc, that is something that they can pick. We'll share the timings for all the cooking classes, and and the topics, and they can just pick the one that suits them the best, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. The teams already shared program schedules as well as the titles of the cooking classes. I'm really interested in some of them, Doc. I love guilt-free baking. um, and I can't imagine a vegan lasagna. I've not tried making that actually. So,
Oh, that's delicious. I make it all the time. Yeah.
okay, all the links are on the group. Doc, the consultations can be provided in Hindi.
Absolutely, no
Yeah.
problem, because they are individualized. And, we also have a number of languages that our nutritionists or doctors can speak.
Okay.
So we are not limited to Hindi.
Okay. Oh,
We
that's
have Hindi, of course, but we have a lot more.
okay. Fabulous. That's
The online, the basic online class which comes with all of these, that is either in English or Hindi.
okay. Okay. Great. Thank you, Doc. I think that's about it. If there are more questions, I just want to remind everyone that they can post the questions on the Telegram group. Dr. Shah is around. She'll be able to answer those questions today as well as tomorrow. We'll close for today. I wish everyone lots and lots of good health. Thank you so much, Doc. We want to quickly share the poll results, of course. I want to highlight, oh my goodness, okay, 48% people, Doc, said at the start of this call that they thought milk is healthy and they need to consume it for calcium. But it's very heartening to find that 36% said no. So that's really good that a lot of people already have started becoming aware. 70%, Doc, said that you don't need to eat eggs or meat to get protein. That is really, really fabulous. And of course, oh my goodness, 68% and 55% people had diabetes. Obesity was 41%. So definitely, I think all these people should use this opportunity, Doc, as you said, this time to finally be rid of these diseases. Okay, great. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Doc. You've been very, very generous today with these packages, with your knowledge, with sharing all these insights. Thank you so much. Would you like to leave everyone with a thought?
No, I just want to say that, we are the author of our disease. And therefore, luckily, we are capable of making a huge change and building a culture of health. So we can reach our highest health potential if we are willing to make some changes and get there. And everyone can do it.
That's true. Thank you so much.
It's nice to know that you're vegan.
Thank you. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.